the Primitive Patterns Podcast. It's time to live your mystery. All right, boys, welcome back to another episode of the Primitive Patterns Podcast. First one in Guatemala. Boys, how are we? Ep19, boys. Feeling great.
Feeling amazing. It's good to be back here for sure.
Great to be back here. We, for today's podcast, we just kind of want to talk a little bit about, why we're here, why we did it from a lifestyle perspective and kind of what we're doing down here and just share that with you guys today. So, Luker, do you want to maybe just kick it off here? Like, tell the audience why we're here.
Why we're here.
To shred waves. To absolutely dice up some waves and rock mustaches.
I think the biggest reason we're here is we just know for our lifestyle and what we want out of our life, spending time in a location where time moves a little slower, we have more time to think and be creative and be really connected to nature. That was huge for us.
Yeah.
And just at a young age to afford ourselves time more than anything, because I think we've all realized how valuable time is and how quickly it fucking moves. So like we can all relate to like how quickly our 20s have went.
Yeah.
And everyone you talk to that's older says time flies. And this was a pretty cool way of being like, all right, well, time flies. Let's maximize time and make a cool life experience.
Yeah. Make a cool life experience, maximize the time that we have here, and also just do something that we're very passionate about doing in that time. Right. So not just like, as much as being in Guatemala is enjoyment and just like having so much time, we're also still chasing something and moving towards the ultimate goal of what we're passionate about too, which is just to kind of maybe share that with you guys a little bit. We've been coming to Ep19 this is our fourth winter now that we've come here. We've never spent more than like 3 or 4 weeks here before at a time. Long story short, last year, one of our buddies has a property down here on the beach, really good guy. And he always wanted to have a health space on his property. And we started talking to him one day like, oh yeah, we would love to open up a gym down here because this town doesn't have anything like that. And it's a very young, active community, a lot of people that are into surfing. And he was like, yeah, man, I would love to have you guys build a gym on my property. And even he said, so many times people are like, oh, I really want to open up this thing. And he's like, yeah, man, like if you want to open up something cool on my property, I have the space for you. And then it always fizzles out. So I think that's just like a really cool aspect of us opening up a gym on his property is, and maybe something people can take away from this podcast is like, we're just jumping into it. Like we said, we're going to do something. It's something that we're super passionate about and we're here, we're doing it.
And another cool aspect to it as well is back in 2018 or 2019, me and Luke had the opportunity to live in Nicaragua for 2 winters for like 3 months each winter. And we opened up a small outdoor gym, very minimalistic, like calisthenic, maybe a couple kettlebells type deal. But at that time, Jaker was still in his undergrad and he wasn't able to be with us either winter, right? Because you were still grinding away at Brock University.
Oh yeah, medical science. How are you?
Nerdo.
Doing your thing. Yeah, medical science, kinesiology, firefighter. Guess what, boys? We're all in the same place, eh? Just didn't have to spend the 40 grand to get here.
Yeah,
that's right.
Besides the point, me and Luke were able to go down there over 2 winters and run some retreats and kind of have this gym on the beach, and you weren't able to do that. So now it's a massive dream come true, something that we weren't even sure it would ever be able to happen again, where all 3 of us are now afforded the opportunity to come down here as brothers together and kind of do it again, just a little different location, revamped.
And I want to touch on that Nicaragua gym a little bit, because so often in life when we do something in business, it's all about the bottom line. Like, how much can this make? What's this going to generate? Blah, blah, blah. That gym in Nicaragua, from a financial perspective, was a complete loss. We did not make a single penny on that gym. No. In fact, we spent a little bit of money that we did have at the time. We had almost none of it. And we built this little gym. But that beach and that gym in Nicaragua was kind of the budding ground of Primitive Patterns becoming what it is now.
For sure it was.
It's where we connected with ourselves. We connected with nature. It was our first time really experimenting with a psychedelic. Like there were a lot of firsts on that beach that I don't think Primitive Patterns would be what it is today if we didn't have that time and space there. So even though from like a bottom line accounting perspective, that gym did nothing, that time and the space that afforded us is invaluable. Like you could not put a dollar figure on what that did for us.
No, and taking the leap of faith to do it. You know, we had family members that were like, oh yeah, you know, we, hang on, they got a knock on the door here, boys. All right, and we're back. Yeah. A little break in the action, but
Just a quick little delivery. So bed came here, so me and Josh don't have to share a bed anymore.
finally, yeah, big cuddle puddle upstairs with me, Jake and Luke. Now we all share a bedroom here for 4 months, so people may think that it's all glitz and glamour, but not the case with everything. But anyway, my train of thought was when we started that gym in Nicaragua, Primitive Patterns essentially didn't even exist. Like I think the summer before was the first summer that we started running free community workouts only on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. at Sunset Park. So a public park where we're from. So for us to take that leap again, I was going to say we had family members being like, oh, I've been in Nicaragua. It's dangerous. It's this, it's that. We weren't, we still aren't, but we weren't world travelers at the time. We didn't have much traveling experience. And we took that leap of faith to be like, we're going to go there. We're going to chase this dream. We're going to open up the gym, take a bit of that chance. And I would say it was a kind of a crazy thing to do at the time because primitive wasn't even a thing. And we were like, yeah, you know, we'll open up a gym. We'll run a couple retreats. We're 21 years old. We do not have an established brand at all. And we didn't make any money. But like you said, the growth that came from that and just taking on that challenge and the confidence that it gave us to be like, all right, boys, let's fucking go. Like, this is something that we can actually chase moving forward was, like you said, invaluable. So
Definitely. And it's a huge lesson for life. Like we talk about all the time, and it's not cliche. We genuinely, one of the things we think about all the time is that you're floating on a rock in outer space and you've got, if you're lucky, 70 good years to dance around on it. So to take a risk and to do something that you're passionate about that you think is going to provide you with just feelings that you want and adventure and exploration of yourself, it's like, fuck it, why not? And I think we all are at a point now where we don't look at things like, oh, how much is this going to make us? It's like, does this align with our values? Is this something we think is cool? Is this a risk we want to take? Yes or no? Yes, cool, let's do it.
Yeah. And I think that's always like a trade-off, right? And we've kind of gone in the direction of investing in personal development, I guess you could call it, over financial
and just doing what
gains or
feels
development and doing
right to us.
what feels right. But like you had touched on there, like if you guys had never opened up that gym on the beach and done that in Nicaragua, like that gave so much valuable experience that now coming here, you know, a little bit older, wiser, so to speak, it makes it easier, right? There's less inertia that we have to get through because it's like, well, we already did this on a beach that was way more remote than this one. And we've gained the experience of like, okay, what's it going to be like to try to build in a country like this and just to live away from home in a country like this for X amount of months on end. So yeah, I think just like investing, so to speak, in your development as a person is so critical.
And I think we also have to acknowledge how lucky we are that we have the strength of like having each other to lean on, because I don't think any one of us individually, if we didn't have the other two, would be willing or even able to take something on like this. Like it would be a lot more daunting and scary. Yeah. And so I can also acknowledge that as well. Like we are so lucky that we have like the bond that we do, because it gives each of us confidence to step out of our comfort zone.
Definitely. But for people listening, like, you know, you can break it down where it's not about moving countries and opening a gym on a beach. Cause yeah, for most people that probably sounds actually insane. But even the fact of like, if you're in a job that you hate, just quit, take the risk, and you'll find something that aligns with you better. Like just always be checking yourself and asking in life, like, am I doing something that I feel is moving me forward and that aligns with my values? And know that like fear generally is, and it's cliche, you hear people say it all the time, but it keeps you stuck. It's like the fear of the what ifs, but the what ifs are a beautiful part of life. Like when you're dancing in the unknown, it fires you up. It gives you something to like wake up and be like, let's fucking go.
Yeah. Cause if you embrace that fear, you know, the fear of, is this gym in Guatemala going to work? Is it safe to go? Is whatever like fears that we may have or other people may have. If you embrace the fact that you are fearful, that's okay, but you're still down to like hop on the ride and go for it, then that fear can be a driving force in doing everything you can to try and find success in whatever situation that you're in.
Yeah.
So like it can hold you back and it can kind of like paralyze you and freeze you. And you're like, I'm scared to quit my job, or I'm scared to go do this. And I don't know, you know, I'm no psychologist. I don't know that what exactly it is that's going to allow you to make that flip and use fear as a little bit more of like and again, I think
tool.
Yeah, a tool. And I'm lucky that I have you guys. You're lucky that you have me and Luke, that we have a support system that, you know, you can challenge yourself. And
yeah, I also think that like if something brings a little bit of fear or anxiety, whether it's trying to catch a wave or trying to do something in a career or whatever, it's probably worth doing. You know, like I think that can be a bit of a litmus test. Like, oh, do I have like zero fear of what I'm about to do? Not to say that you shouldn't do it if you have no fear towards it, but like, is it really going to be like that valuable to your life? You know, like, so I think using that as like, oh, I am a little bit afraid of this situation. And it's like, I want to dip my toes in, but I know I should just jump right in. It's a good litmus test. Like, yeah, maybe you should do it.
It was like doing a canyon for the first time. I'd be lying if I didn't say on that 40-minute drive up that first year, I was fucking pretty scared. Like not scared, I was nervous. I was like, fuck, it's cold out. We've never done this before. Are we ready? Is this something we're going to be able to do? What are we going to feel like near the end? Are we going to get to the end?
Oh yeah. Think about all the most memorable things that you've done up to this point in our short time on this earth, up 27 years and 29 years. Like, everything that you would have the best memories of, or even that like you're most proud of,
or that challenged you the most.
When the idea came about, there's lots of inertia. There's lots of like fear, so to speak, whether it's a 32K swim across the bay, running through the Grand Canyon, opening up a gym in Guatemala, having 2 businesses back home. Like none of these things are things where you're like, oh, that's going to be easy. Sure. I'll do it. It's like, no, it's fearful. And also when you have that fear, if you're really going after it, it's going to make you work very, very hard.
Yeah. And it's also in your brain being able to interpret it. Like say you're feeling anxious about quitting your job or moving to Guatemala to start a gym. You can say that to yourself in your head. Like, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety because this is a really fucking cool opportunity. And I know that there's going to be hurdles and things to navigate. And this is my body, mind, spirit's way of tuning me and getting me ready, knowing that there's going to be obstacles and challenge. Or you can shell up and be like, I'm anxious. Oh no, I have to stop because this is a sign that things are wrong. It's like anxiety isn't always a bad thing. In fact, sometimes it's actually such a beautiful thing.
Necessary,
Necessary, especially if you're able to interpret it within your own mind properly. Not going, oh no, I'm feeling anxious. This is a bad thing. That can be the case if you're on a 4-day bender. But if you have an opportunity in front of you and you're feeling some angst, that's your body's way of priming you. It's like, get ready. This is going to be cool. This is going to be different. Like you're going to face some challenge. You better be ready to saddle up.
Oh yeah.
And I've heard you say in the past too, Luke, I've heard you say like, if you're following your heart, you can't fail. Like you can't go wrong. And there's been things that I've done in my life, like my amateur fight, didn't win it, lost it, kind of got dummied, head hurt after. I don't regret it one bit whatsoever. That was an amazing experience. 32K swim, got out of the water with like 3K left, done, tapped out, not completed. Those things, I look back on those as such fond memories and such building blocks into like those are things that have shaped me into like who I'm currently becoming. And so even though I didn't get the W on the scorecard on either of those, that's the furthest thing from a fail in my mind.
Yeah.
It's the cliche, man in the arena. And if you're following your heart on your way to that arena, then it doesn't, like at least you had the balls to be like, I'm going to go chase this thing that I really want to do. And if it blows up in my face, the naysayers that are like, I told you, I knew that wasn't going to work. I knew he wasn't going to be able to win that. I knew whatever. It's like, all right, well,
Cool.
I could care less what you say because you're stuck in this mundane life that you're not pursuing anything because you're scared to do it.
Yeah. I remember having like such angst and fear when I first started Primitive Patterns, just because I was like, who am I to do this? Who am I to post this on Instagram? Who am I to try to do this? And guess what? I wasn't the person that should have been able to do that. But slowly but surely, every year, I'm becoming the person that in my mind, I wanted to be. So it's like, no matter what you're doing, whether it's the boxing, the this or the that, you're going to fail, you're going to fuck up, there's this or that. But if you hold that image in your mind of like, this is the person I can become through these trials, and I'm following my heart as I do it, you cannot fuck up.
Yeah. And you're manifesting it, but you're manifesting it through action.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just sitting there being like, I want to become the expert in this, or I want to become like the person that I have that image of in my head. It's like, that's not going to happen through osmosis. It's going to happen through trial, error. It's going to happen through some failures, some successes, but it's going to happen through like taking that fucking leap and doing it time and time again. And then eventually it's like anything else. When you learn a skill, it's like any skill acquisition, you know, it feels, you were just saying this today on our run. Jaker was giving me a little Spanish lesson when we were running, and he was like, it's crazy. Like, I still feel like I know absolutely nothing. But then when I think like if one of my buddies from back home that can't speak a lick of it came down, then you'd be like, oh shit, I actually do know a little bit. But that's just come from like consistency over time.
Yeah.
And being okay with being like, okay, I'm going to try to order a coffee here, or I'm going to try to buy some avocados, and I'm just going to try my best to use this language, and I'm going to sound like an idiot at times, and people are going to have to correct me. But that's like, even using that example, if I'm like reading a Spanish book or on a app or whatever, and I learn a new word, chances are it's probably not going to stick in my head. But if I go to the store and I'm trying to order an avocado and I say avocate, and they're like, no, it's aguacate, I'm like, oh, now I'm going to remember that. Like, now I'm going to remember. Now I know how to do it because I failed and somebody told me, and now that's like an impression on me. And I'm like, okay, now I got it.
Yeah.
Give us, going back to like, maybe like, reasons why we came down here, or like things we want to do this winter. What in your mind would be like, and I think I know the answer to this because there's no like one thing that's going to make these few months here a success, but in your head, what do you think of when you're like, if this happens this winter, then I'll find it to be successful and I'll be happy with it?
For me, the biggest thing is a beautiful daily rhythm with you guys and with other people in the community. Like, I want to be running. I want to be meditating. I want to be surfing. I want to be running workouts at the gym. Like, I want the structure and the flow to flow seamlessly. I think that's super important because we're here to be in a beautiful flow and a beautiful rhythm. And then also with that gym, just running amazing high energy classes and just seeing that kind of become like the gym become a bit of a heartbeat for El Paredon, where people, and you already see it with like kids coming and doing the free jiu-jitsu, but a place that's like all about health, mentally, physically, and it becomes a breeding ground for this area to like grow more in that way.
Yeah.
I think that would be badass, because like I would love to continue to be here and continue to do things in the health scene here. But it's got to grow that way.
Yeah. I think it's so cool that we found something that we're passionate about, where it is truly about helping people. And like, we see people in El Paredon, you know, it's like people here, like, in ways they don't have everything, but in a lot of ways they do. Like, a lot of people are healthy. They're outside all day. They have a good community.
They live with their family.
And this just feels like a little bit of like putting a bit of NOS in the engine, you know, a bit of a turbo here, where it's like, if we can just get people involved, and I think it'll happen naturally. Like, once people just start moving and having a good time together and connecting with people in a social setting that isn't having to go out for a drink at a hostel, like, just, I think it can really uplift the vibe here, and be such a good way to help people.
Yeah, because that can be an issue with kind of little surf towns like this that are on the precipice of like, oh, like 4 years ago before COVID, or even before we got here. And we've seen the town grow like crazy since we've been here, but like nobody knew about it. And now it's this hot spot in Central America. And I mean, we've seen it through our travels in Southeast Asia and some of Central America. The towns can take a bit of a turn for the worse if there's not like-minded people that are trying to like balance that out. Like the partying is going to happen.
Yeah, yin yang.
Yeah.
You want the partying. You don't want to be in a surf town where you can't have a good time, but you don't want it to be overburdened by that. And it just becomes the whole thing is just about partying. And then it loses what makes it so special.
Yeah. Like for me, that would be if we could truly at the end of this winter go home and be like, that was a tangible feeling of a shift within some people in this town. Like just a tangible sense of like, yeah, we came here with a purpose to like help the town, help people, help create a space where people can come and collaborate and feel creative and feel happy and healthy. Like if we can go home and be like, we were able to accomplish that. To me, there's obviously, like Luke said, a lot of other things that would allow me to consider this winter a success, but that's a major one for me.
Hell yeah. And I think for me too, like, because I have become very aware in my life that when my internal vibration is at a good place, everything in my life kind of seems to unfold truly in a beautiful way. And being here, it really does allow you the time and the space to just quiet everything and really feel like internally, what am I feeling? How are things flowing? So on a selfish perspective, that's a big reason I'm here as well, is like, I like the pace of life here.
Yeah.
I like the way that my body and my mind feels here. Sometimes back home, I find things start feeling very too rushed, and people are just wired at this state that it makes it hard at times to bond properly.
Yeah, it's also crazy too. Like when I'm back home and I'm training people and I'm still doing some stuff for the paint company, and I feel like I have no time for myself. And it's like, you kind of get stuck in that rut of like, you know, I would love to work on like self-improvement, whether it's through health practices, or I want to get better at playing guitar, or I want to learn this language, or whatever you're passionate about and you want to do. When you're like stuck in that machine back home, it's like, oh, how could I ever like up and leave this? And how can I ever find time for myself? But as soon as we came here and you step away from it, it's like, yeah, like I'm able to do that. I've been able to play guitar for an hour a day, try to practice my Spanish every day. We go on a run, little 20-minute shakeout every morning just to get the blood flowing before we surf. And it's like just having the time to work on who you are as a person, especially at a young age, is so critical. Because like you said, your vibration is just so high. Mm-hmm. And then you can take that wherever you want. Like any path you want to go down, people are just going to want to be around that. They're going to, whether it's a job you're looking for or whatever, a career path, people are going to be like, oh, this person, like, I don't know what it is about them, but I really like the vibe of this person and I want them involved in what I'm doing.
Yeah. And for people, I know it's different. If you're listening to this and you have kids and a family, that's a different stage of life. And that's a beautiful thing in itself, where like you've now given yourself to raise your children, which is
such a large purpose,
which is, and super essential, I think, for long-term happiness for most people. But I think if you are like in your mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, and you don't have a family yet, or you're not married, like you don't have to make rock star money to come down here, a place like this, and just find time and space to reconnect with source energy, with nature, just with life, with who you are. And I think if a lot of people, if you feel like you're stuck in a matrix at home, or you're just stuck in a system and it's like nothing's changing and it's the same old story day in, day out, take fucking 3 or 4 months and just check out, but don't check out just to be a moron.
Yeah.
Like check out with purpose.
Yeah.
And I think for most people, especially at our age, when there's the social pressures and the conditioning that comes with it, taking a bit of time to really get a little quieter and have more space to know what the fuck you want out of your life is critical.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you're stuck in that faster paced life, it's not even like you necessarily hate it. Like, you know, my day-to-day life, I enjoy being at the gym, and I enjoy training my clients, and, you know, that whole thing, I enjoy it, but you just don't notice you're just unaware of the fact that you are heightened and that you're not giving yourself the space and time to just like take that deep breath and start to like discover some things within yourself. Because I'll speak firsthand. Same thing for me. Like I have simple examples of that. Here's a funny one. I was telling Luke this the other day. When I'm back home, I'm like, wake up, boom, drive, go get a coffee, go to the gym. It's 10 a.m. Haven't gone to the bathroom yet, but I didn't even like notice it. And here it's like, I wake up, I come down, I drink some water, I have a coffee, and I believe it's because of the state I'm in and the space that I've given myself. It's like, bang, going to the bathroom right away. There you go.
Yeah.
Not sure if you wanted to hear that or not.
Yeah, but it's just a good illustration of state.
Like a simple, very simple example of like my body is reacting to the difference in pace of life and to like the space that I'm providing it.
Yeah.
It's unreal, boys.
Yep.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. You're shitting better.
I'm shitting better. I'm definitely not catching many waves yet, but hopefully that's coming soon. I mean, all the boys have had a bit of a rough patch here with their surfing.
So it is what it is.
Just shaking the dust off, buddy.
Yeah.
There will be plenty of tasty waves this winter. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll keep you guys posted on, maybe we'll do like a weekly surf leaderboard, who we think is on top for the week.
Yeah. And I would say if we're doing one right now, I think it's a complete draw. We're all like bottom of the barrel.
I'm taking it because I had balls this morning.
Buddy, I saw you get buried so hard this morning.
Fuck yeah, because I went for it, unlike you pussies. That's all I'm saying. At least I'm in the arena, boys.
Yeah, I charged one in at the end. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
not gonna lie. You can ask Jim.
Anyway,
You can ask Jim.
that's enough. Close out the episode.
See you guys on the next one.
Ciao for now.
Adios.
The Primitive Patterns Podcast. It's time to live your mystery.